I've committed a crime. I've committed the ultimate heresy of actually liking something. And this is a game that, under most normal circumstances, I wouldn't like. You know, most people don't really like the free to play game, but does everything in its power to goad you into paying money. But, and I guess what I'm about to explain, like, let me explain myself right. Look, I played the fuck out of Warframe. I have every single weapon, every single Warframe, every single companion, every single art gun, everything, every single pet. I did all of the star chart, all 1,000 and something missions. And unless they add anything else, what is today? Tuesday? Wednesday is usually when they come out with their new shit. Unless they add a new prime, you have all the primes. Unless they add that, I really don't care to jump back on the game. Like, there are weeklies, but even after a while, I stopped doing those. But I like the First Descent. It's a good game. And look, I play the fuck out of any Warframe look-alike. And I think the fact that it's effectively a Warframe knockoff, isn't, that doesn't disqualify to my eyes, because I believe market adjacent IPs should exist. Because you have situations like IPs like Star Wars that is in the shitter, but since no one true, like, there's been Star Wars like IPs and sci-fi like IPs like Star Trek and Andromeda, you know, Stargate, kind of, The Expanse, one of the best TV shows. Well, that was a lot later. But you have Star Wars going into the shit, and people are like, oh, well, I need to turn my time and money to another IP that's maybe Star Wars, but not quite Star Wars. And at least in the mainstream, none of them exist. Like, hell, even Star Trek is crap now. So I think games and movies and things that are, derivatives of the original aren't a bad thing. Like Pal World and Pokemon. You know, people shit on Pal World being, oh, well, it's Pokemon with guns, and the developers are like, well, yeah, that's the point. You know, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. And The Descendant has its issues, but I enjoy the game. I mean, first off, the thing I like how artistic it looks. Like, avert your eyes, a female character that actually looks like a female. It has hot female characters, and that is always a plus. Look, that's not the point of the game. It's like the icing on the cake. It's seasoning on the steak. And what you see, at least in most modern video games and movies, is they want to take off the seasoning, and then they want to shame you for being like, oh, hey, well, why are you taking this off? It makes the game better. It's like, well, no. Remember, just because a bunch of liberal perverts that couldn't help but to harass women existed in America, you're not allowed to have this, right? Even though the type of demographic would absolutely love this. We're doing everything in our power to take it away, so leave it to, again, this South Korean game to give it back, to give the people what they want. And I like the gunplay, and obviously, like Warframe, you got your abilities. And I shouldn't keep comparing it to Warframe, but Warframe really sucks up all the air in the room when it comes to games like these, skill based, ability based shooters, right? It's like, oh, everyone's going to turn to Warframe. But I think this has, it can be something unique, right? It has a good foundation to build upon. And I mean, it is also a grind type of game, which I'm fine with. But again, I played Warframe, and this can't be any worse than that. But artistically, the style of most of these characters, I mean, some of them have more character than the majority of any of the Star Wars Acolyte characters. I can tell you that right now. Even looking at the artwork online, it's like this makes you want to play. It's like I want to know who this character is and actually adventure with them. I want to know who this is, right? And again, the sci-fi, it's a goofy sci-fi throwaway story, which is fine. You know, kind of window dressing, but I'd say it has a better story than what Star Wars has now and what even Star Trek has now. And obviously, they can build upon it. They can add to it. You know, they can add more weapons, more characters, and it would just be an objectively better product. And it's free, so you're not really losing anything. But that also goes into the issues of the game. I mean, the issue is obviously it does everything in its power to goad you into buying, and you know, I think it was the Ubisoft CEO that's like, "Oh, I really like this game," and as he names off some of the most popular mainstream games, and he's like, "Oh, well, I do wish I could tip them." So effectively, just give them money. Look, if you like the game, you know, you should usually quote unquote tip the game or buy stuff in the game if either you have a couple hundred hours in the game or if the game's out for a year, right? Because you don't know. The grind may become easier. They might add more things. Hell, they could even give you characters flat out, like what Warframe does. You know, it's never really a good idea to spend initially or buy the season pass initially, but it's always useful to wait. You know, get acclimated with the controls and how the grind works, and you know the ways you can grind where it's easier. Because that's the first thing I did. You know, like usually what I do is I hyperfixate on getting a single thing until I get that thing, then I move on. You know, I power through the story, whatever. You know, but if I say want to grind a character, I just keep doing that until I get the pieces, then craft the pieces, then craft the character, and that's that. But again, you shouldn't need to pay for the game. Yeah, like this may look appealing, but again, you gotta do everything in your power not to throw money at the game. But I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But I'm just this is my advice. My advice. Also the issues is I don't really trust the probability chances of things because it's like the way Warframe does it is like, oh, you have a 20% chance to get this, or you have a 20% to get this other thing, or you have a 20% to get this. But with this game, it's like, oh no, you have a 20% to get this and nothing. You know, you have a 20% to get this and 20% to get to this, but you also have a good chance of getting neither of these and just getting the base reward. And it's like, well, that because people want to feel like they're achieving something, right? That's why most, I guess, gotcha games have a pity system, which if your RNG is so trash, you know, say with Nikke, you get mileage tickets, and if you get a certain amount per recruit, you can just flat out get the character from the shop with that currency, which is the mileage tickets. You know, with Warframe, its pity system is you always at least walk away with something of value. So, say if you don't get a piece from a relic that you really want, you get a lot of void traces, and void traces used to upgrade the relic, which increases the chance of getting the thing you want, right? And even if you don't get it that time or the other times, you get resources towards other things, and you have the chance of other people putting up relics for things that they have or they can get, and relics they have that you don't have. So Warframe's pity system is, well, I mean, you always get something, but this game doesn't have a pity system, and that is something that might take some people off the game because, again, I don't trust the drop chances of certain things. But with a pity system, it doesn't matter, right? You know, with the pity system, you can still not trust it, but you can trust that it gets easier the more you do the thing. But this game doesn't have that. Also, there's a lot of clunkiness with the movement. Like, you'll get stuck on a rogue, like, pixel of a rock, and you'll be like, bro, what the fuck? And sometimes that's bad because, again, it's a third person shooter, but you're kind of compelled to take cover. But the cover, you're trying to walk to cover, but you're getting stuck on this pebble and you get absolutely blasted. And you also get stuck on other characters and other people, right? So your character model will collide with another person and they're like a fucking brick wall in front of you. You know, Warframe does things to go around that because that breaks momentum, right? And, you know, in a high, fast shooter, slasher ability type of fighter, you know, momentum is key. And it's also a thing with, again, it takes energy to use the abilities, but, you know, abilities, they're on a cooldown every time they're used, and they're energy based. So when you use an ability, right, even if you have the energy, you still have to wait until you can use it again. And energy doesn't always drop from dead enemies, like it does, but not always. And things that drop don't stay on the ground, so you can get in a situation where it's difficult to use your abilities, which you can plan around that because the abilities do synergize with each other. But it's just one of those things where it's like, oh well, I'm kind of in this diminishing type of situation where I need to kill enemies to get the drops, but I don't have enough energy to use my abilities that do the killing that gets the drops. So I guess I'll use my gun, but again, the guns use like different ammo types, and sometimes you just run out of ammo, which drop from the enemies sometimes. So, and you have a melee that's on a cooldown for some fucking reason. You also have a grappling hook that's on a cooldown for some fucking reason. Again, it's like they needlessly cap your momentum, especially even for characters that, you know, literally momentum is how they play, like this character right here. Like the point is you gotta go fast. But again, with all the aforementioned things, you can get kneecapped, and now you're in a bad position because this isn't a tank, right? And there's also things where certain abilities for certain characters, like this one, should just be better, right? Like her alt, I suppose. She gets a gun, like a gun that shoots toxic. That's pretty damn good, but it's both a mag based and a duration based ability. So it runs out when you shoot all the bullets in the mag, but it also runs out after a certain amount of seconds. I'm like, look, if you could either do one or the other, the ability would be objectively better, right? You know, if it's mag based, you can pop the ability just to ensure you have it ready in case the big boy comes out. Then just expend your bullets sparingly, so you have just sort of that ace in the hole. But or you can make it duration based, which is something you can build around. Like I believe there are mods that increase the duration of certain abilities, and you could build around that, so you can just have effectively infinite bullets, but for I don't know 30ish seconds, right? But the way it is, it's both. So it's just a needlessly kneecapped ability, and it's like, well, the character is just worse off for it. And again, that's something they can obviously change down the line. Again, I don't know if this game's early access per se, but I mean, what they have in, I'm enjoying, right? I I and it has sort of like the same relic system as Warframe, where you get this amorphous material from things, and you gotta crack it open either by doing the Colossus intercept, so fighting the boss raids, or you can go get like the shards, void shards, which again is something that you'll figure out. The game also does a lot of hand holding, which is fine, but it also hits you with information overload. So, the majority of which you don't gotta worry about. Boob window, what? Boob window in this economy? Cancel the game, please. Hot female character in this economy? Cancel the game. Like, this is unacceptable. There's also goofy skins, obviously. But even the male characters. Look, I'm playing this game like a waifu collection game. So I'm playing this game like I play Nikke. I'm getting all the waifus first, and I might maybe somewhat get the other characters. Who knows? There's also ultimate versions of certain characters, but not all of them. There's the throwaway sci-fi bad guy. Again, the story's not much to scoff about. I don't need to spoil it, because it's not anything of interest. Look, you play the game for the ass. That's how you're supposed. And again, you're not supposed to play this game with the intention of beating the game. You sort of just gotta. You're Sisyphus pushing that boulder up the hill, and you're forever doing that until you reach your waifus. But once you reach your waifus, you'll realize you have nothing further to reach for. So you just either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And next thing you know, you're writing fanfic about this bunny girl and this fucking goofy big dude. Or you're writing some weird gender bender art of this dude. Female version of it, whoever the hell he is. Right? But that's a tangent for another day. Obviously, there's going to be Rule 34 of this game. It's unavoidable, right? What other things? Other than the abilities, like, and the characters. Um, I mean, playing with people is fine, but I can also play alone. Again, this is a game like Warframe where I can play with people, and I can play alone, and both will be fine. Look, half the time I'm on the games, I'm doing chores or working from home or doing other things. So half the time I'm not really on per se. But again, what I like, if I was to give this a numerical value, I think for right now I'd give it about about a 7. I mean, it is average, but in my particular case, I like it. Like, it'd be a 9 for me personally, but if you're just a newbie walking in, right, it is a mid game, and it throws a lot of information at you. And the one character, and this is also a complaint, the one character that discusses mechanics, they didn't even bother giving voice acting to, right? It's just, it does the R2D2 thing and a whole fucking novel of text pop up, and you're supposed to read all that in 5 seconds. And I'm like, bro, are you serious? Really? Oh, but one of the things I do like about this game is if you want to look for a piece, everything like shows you, like, say if you want a specific material, you can click on that material, click the tracking, and it'll tell you exactly the place you gotta go to find it. Hell, it even po- point your camera in that very location. So I'd say it's one of the best systems when it comes to, you know, part or item acquisition. It's just you gotta also battle the RNG, which will probably be garbage for you. I mean, it was garbage for me for a little bit, but I have that determination from Warframe that keeps me doing it. So it's whatever for me. But other people, I can see why they'd get turned off by it, and well, it sort of is what it is. You know, if you're turned off by the goofy RNG of certain things, I mean, it's just sometimes it's the way the cards fall. Saying not everyone's gonna like this game, but I am certainly one of the people who do. But I would like the game to be. I like the game because it can definitely be built upon, right? You can definitely have a objectively superior product in, I don't know, the next couple years than what you have now. And again, the formula's there. It's just implementing the things that, not entirely changing the grind, but again, like things like the pity system, maybe changing the percentages, because you know, again, people just don't want to feel like they're getting cheated, especially in a game where RNGesus is your god and you gotta pray to him every day to get what you want. People want to feel that they're getting thrown some sort of bone, right? And not just getting boned, but I mean, I guess some people are into. Some people want to suffer the grind. I just have an idiotic amount of determination, but I'm not really a grind fanatic. But if I'm enjoying the ride, I'm a grind. And again, this game has enough in it to allow you to enjoy it. There's still a lot of things I don't fully understand about the game, but I mean, I'm learning as I'm playing and as I'm grinding. But that's just about all I gotta say about this. Again, do recommend, do recommend. Just wouldn't recommend buying anything yet. And wouldn't recommend tipping yet until you get a better product. But that's all I gotta say. Peace.